welcome to both of you. Nice to have you here again. So I think we've had a little chat. Shall we just dive into some practice? I'm going to share my screen, and we'll just have a look at the lesson, and that'll lead us into the quote, and then that'll lead us into the lesson. Okay. Just going to get the YouTube live stream thing going, so if people want to look into it from the email, they can. Okay, great. There we go. And share my screen. Okay. So make that a bit bigger. Okay, so if you can, any other of you read that quote from the preface, actually, of the Course in Miracles. Cool.
Okay.
What's happened? It just disappeared. That just weird. That just clicked itself.
Mm-hmm. Oh, what was it?
Just went off on its own tangent. Okay.
Okay, the world we see merely reflects our own internal frame of reference, the dominant ideas, wishes, and emotions in our minds. Projection makes perception. Text introduction to chapter 21. We look inside first, decide the kind of world we want to see, and then project that world outside, making it the truth as we see it. We make it true by our interpretations of what it is we are seeing. If we are using perception to justify our own mistakes, our anger, our impulses to attack, our lack of love in whatever form it may take, we will see a world of evil, destruction, malice, envy, and despair. All this we must learn to forgive, not because we are being good and charitable, but because what we are seeing is not true.
Yeah, thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, I think about my own situation and how things appear to have got worse and worse, because I've only recently, I suppose, through being on this course, another thing, stepped back and realized that I am actually, well, I kind of knew I was creating it, but was so caught up in the anger about the whole situation that the anger fueled more anger and more negativity and more things that appear to be absolutely, utterly evil. And then I'm like going, oh my God, this is really evil. So I'm seeing more evil. And so on and so forth.
Our interpretations of what it is we're seeing. So how perception projection works. Projection makes perception. We project from our subconscious mind, and then we perceive it as real, and we make the projection real through our perception, which reinforces the beliefs that gave rise to the projection. And so projection and perception keep us caught up in the illusion, and we have to create a gap between them.
Yeah.
It's all about creating a gap, a space to say, well, actually, maybe that's not the case. Maybe when the projection happens, you don't just have to automatically judge it as real and react to it. Maybe you can create some space and some awareness around that reaction, so that you start to break that cycle. Otherwise, it's just that this is the chain of the ego. Project from the subconscious mind, then you see it out there. Oh, well, then it must be real. So I reinforce it with my perception, and then my belief gets strengthened. And that's how the ego works.
Yeah.
It's a very ingenious mechanism to keep our minds enslaved into a dream world.
Yeah.
It is the mechanism which the ego uses. But now the Course says, well, use the very mechanism of enslavement, projection, to undo the ego. So it's actually the Achilles heel. The greatest defense of the ego is also its Achilles heel, because it reveals itself through the projections.
Yes.
And that's really useful.
So then you can see what's in the subconscious.
Yeah, exactly. Now you can see it without having to try and intuit it and go, well, what's actually going on there, and I can't really see it. It's out there for you in displayed on the movie screen of time and space. Because we live in a 4-dimensional theater.
Yeah.
3 dimensions of space and time to make this whole thing apparently real. So now it's projected out for you. You see it in the movie and you go, well, if I can see it with the correct awareness and interpret it, then that can help me to undo it. Because then I don't feel the beliefs that made that projection. I actually undo the beliefs. I say, no, that's not true. What I'm seeing is not true. It's a projection of an untrue, of a false belief in my own mind, and I question that belief, and I don't believe that belief anymore. Now I've got the way to undo those beliefs in my mind, which is a genius. So Yeshua's a genius. He's figured out how to crack. He's figured out what the Achilles heel of the ego is, and he's gone, right, so let's go there, and we'll work exactly where the ego defends itself the most with projection. We'll work there. That's what the whole course is directed towards, reinterpreting the projections with your perception, because you can't change the projections per se, but you can change your perception, which then changes the belief, which then will automatically change the projections. If you really do change your core belief, then you stop projecting the same stuff. But he's figured out that the rubber meets the road in perception. That's what it comes down to. Can you change your perception of the situation? And that's what the course then is directed towards. It's a mind training course to help you to change your perception of any situation, as quickly and easily as possible, so that you don't suffer very much. You can just change your mind.
Yeah. And I mean, of course, this is people like Bruce Lipton have written a lot about the subconscious mind, and people, that's really coming into people's awareness. I think people are much more aware of, the majority of what they believe and what's running their life is in the subconscious.
And where do you see it? But you see it in the projections in your own life. That's how you see your subconscious mind demonstrated visually, graphically for you. That's really, really helpful.
Yeah.
To interpret it correctly.
I think it's quite interesting. Sometimes situations get worse and worse. Now, I'm struggling. So with my situation, it got worse and worse. And the character I was looking at seemed to just get more and more evil. Now, is that because I'm increasingly learning how to clear the stuff and recognize that it's a projection? So I'm really going to the very, very deep stuff in the subconscious, or is it because I'm reinforcing it by constantly judging it? So it's getting worse and worse because of the constant judgment. Well,
only you'll know the answer. It depends on what's going on inside you. What are you feeling? Are you feeling like you're letting go and you're actually dropping that judgment and it's lightening it, or are you still finding you're getting angry and judging, and those, that's actually getting worse?
Since I've been here and removed from the situation and doing this course with you, it's lightning. But then there's not enough out there, not so much out there to trigger me anyway, because I'm out of the situation while I was still living in the house, and the control of perceived aggressor. Very different scenario. So it's too much to get ahead.
But you got given a break. I think the Spirit said, okay, go somewhere else because it's too overwhelming for you. So go somewhere else to deal with it, to let it go when you don't have those very serious temptations to judge in your
Yes.
face all the time. You need a bit of a safe haven to go away and do the necessary spiritual work without being triggered all day every day.
Yes.
That although it's helpful to understand that projection is it's all a mirror for your subconscious, and what you don't want to do is allow it to dominate you and just overwhelm you.
Yes. Well, that was, exactly.
So if it's too much, then you need to just maybe step back and go, okay, I can take the intensity down a bit, and then the Spirit's got your back. It's helped you. It's given you an environment which is perfect for your healing.
And perhaps it needed, I mean, that's 6 years. I think, why did it take 6 years to get to that point then? But perhaps that was to get the skills in place or the knowledge. A lot of the stuff I've trained in involves the subconscious mind, to get that in place to actually be able to do the work. Perhaps, I don't know. Or maybe I just had to get so exhausted. I just had to go, can't do this anymore. But, whatever it is.
Whatever it is, yeah.
And
you can analyze it to death and go, well, it's this or it's that. But in the end, it comes to the very simple thing. Can you just let go?
Yeah.
You need to let it all go. And if you're not letting it go, if you're holding on to those negative thoughts and emotions, then you're not letting it go. You're dwelling on them. So that's what I love about this course. It's saying, well, in the end, your karma, your history, you can go into all of that, or you can just let go now. Let go right now, and that's always the answer. Wherever you are, you can completely let go if you choose to.
Yeah, absolutely. And people say to me, well, why don't you just let the whole thing go? And I was very much, well, I need to have a house to live in. And now here I am living in a room in somebody's house, and it's very nice. Don't have no need for a house.
You've been provided for. You know what you need.
Yeah.
You don't need to, the concept of ownership, and you need to own the house, and why? It doesn't need to.
No.
As long as you've got somewhere comfortable to stay, and you supported, you can do your spiritual work.
Yeah.
Often ownership's not certainly not a helpful spiritual concept. Owning stuff, because it tends to perpetuate the ego.
Yes.
Me, mine. I own it, and now I've got responsibility for it, and got to look out for it. And why a lot of spiritual students and teachers end up, renouncing ownership and saying, well, no, I don't want to own stuff. It's the minimalist path. It's like, no, the less I own, the better.
Yeah, I mean,
all of that just is clutter, and it's
consuming
food for the ego, and I want to clear that.
Yeah.
So it's that's part of it. You're not owning stuff, minimizing, going to a room. It's like, okay, you just need to simplify your life and really do what's important, which is to declutter your mind.
Yeah, declutter my life, declutter my mind. Absolutely. Feels very right. But I don't think I could have done that
without moving. So sometimes, as Yeshua says in the development of trust, he says sometimes changes are called upon for the teacher of God or teacher of love, that they need to have these changes. I'm not sure if we actually read this, but it's just there's the curriculum or the plan will sometimes call upon development of trust. So the plan will sometimes call for changes in what seem to be external circumstances. These changes are always helpful. When the teacher of God has learned that much, he goes on to the second stage. So, you had a change of circumstances, and yes, it's, you can see it's helpful. It's designed to help you to let go and help your spiritual journey. And now you're in a period of sorting out what is valuable and what's valueless.
Yes.
But what do I really
That's
value?
interesting.
And
God.
what am I wanting to let go of?
Oh my goodness. This is Manual for Teachers, is it?
Yeah, Manual for Teachers. It's a good section on the development of trust.
Oh wow. That's really...
418. You know, he goes through 6 phases of it's essentially his take on the spiritual journey, the hero's journey. Because the development of trust is your awakening process. As you awaken, you develop more and more trust in the spirit. So period of undoing, you know, that sounds like that's kind of what you're going through, and some changes have happened, and now you've got to sort out and in your mind recognize that, you know, what is actually truly valuable and what isn't. It takes great learning to understand that all things, events, encounters, and circumstances are helpful.
Yes, my favorite. I pulled that card the other day from the card box.
Yeah, including, you know, everything. That's whatever you face it.
Yeah.
In your case, you know, seemingly evil antagonist who you're up against. Well, that's helpful in your awakening process. So it's recognizing that.
Mm.
And then a period of relinquishment. So letting a period of letting go of what you would have perceived as your best interests. Like, let's say owning a house. Okay, well, maybe you don't have to do that anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
Giving up the valueless. You can learn this only as he actually does give up the valueless. Through this, he learns that where he anticipated grief, he finds a happy lightheartedness instead.
Yes.
Asked of him, he finds a gift bestowed on him.
Yes.
And then a period of settling down. So once you've been through all of that, there's a quiet time. There's a period of reasonable peace. I love it. Reasonable peace. And then you have another period of unsettling, and then finally period of achievement, which is where you enlighten, basically. You get it, and nothing can disturb your peace. So, you know, we're all in
that bit. Well, that's... Have you this bit you must have already done, have you, in the teaching at some point?
Yes, yeah, because we worked through the Manual for Teachers, I think just before you joined, actually. Yeah, we were doing this, but there's recordings and stuff. So we did.
What I find, I can search. Can I on Telegram for it, or?
Yeah, I'll see what I can. Yeah, if you search on development of trust on Telegram, it should bring something up, and you should be able to access the recordings that I posted there. And then I probably would have also posted a link to the live session on YouTube as well. But I'll see if I can find it for you.
Okay, thank you. That would be really... It looks like it's what I meant to know about.
Doing. Okay, so where are we? Back to here. So today's quote. Did you read paragraph 1? I'm not sure.
I can do that. Today's quote from the preface to the A Course in Miracles text tells us exactly what the world is: a projection of our own dominant ideas, desires, and emotions, and why we should forgive or let go of it. Not because we are so spiritual or enlightened, which can be just another false concept that causes more false projections and perceptions, but because nothing that you perceive outside of you is real. Therefore, to judge it as real by reacting to it emotionally is to make the mistake of reinforcing the seeming reality of this world and the false separated self-concept that made it up.
Okay.
Shall I carry on?
Any thoughts on that?
I think we've done this, haven't we? I mean, yes, all makes perfect sense.
So yeah, the only way out of this projection perception mechanism of illusion that the ego's invented is to truly let go.
Yeah. You hear a lot of, the phrase, respond, don't react. But it's only actually in understanding this that really makes sense, because otherwise you're trying to respond while you've got all this anger boiling up in you. So once you've let go of the anger and all the negative emotions, you can just respond from a neutral place. Which is, of course, you know, lawyers are needed in so many of these situations, because they can respond from an unemotional place where the involved are so emotionally charged, and those involved need to do is take the emotion out of it.
Yeah, because the emotion makes it real. See, so that's one of the ego's keys to making it real.
Yeah.
You have a strong emotion, and you've made the whole situation real in your mind, and that's what it's always trying to get you to do.
Yeah.
So then, you know, the job becomes, well, let go of those strong emotions, because nothing real's ever happened. So why would you react strongly to something that's unreal?
Yeah.
And so emotionally, we have to accept the truth that, you know, nothing's really happened, even while on the level of form it's playing out. It seems something does seem to be happening, but mentally and emotionally we must be unmoved, because in truth our minds are unmoved. You know, our true self is completely unaffected by any of the apparent changes that are happening in the dream world. Okay, carry on with the next paragraph.
Therefore, to judge it as real by reacting to it emotionally is to make the mistake of reinforcing the seeming reality of this world and the false separated self-concept that made it up. In truth, we cannot judge anyone or anything, because what we are judging isn't really there. And so seeming results of our judgment must also be false. And Yeshua tells us very explicitly in this passage from the Manual for Teachers, scroll down a bit. It is necessary for the teachers of perfect love to realize not that he should not judge, but that he cannot. In giving up judgment, he is merely giving up what he did not have. He gives up an illusion, or better, he has an illusion of giving up. He has actually merely become more honest, recognizing that judgment was always impossible for him. He no longer attempts it. There is no sacrifice. On the contrary, he puts himself in a position where judgment through him, rather than by him, can occur. And this judgment is neither good nor bad. It is the only judgment there is, and it is only perfect love's extension. It is only one. Hang on. No? Oh, yeah. It is only one. Perfect love's extension is innocent, and sin does not exist. It's funny, isn't it, how when you read it out loud, it sounds different. I mean, I read it this morning, but it sounded different when I was reading it.
There's something about reading out loud that definitely has a different effect. I think more powerful because you're verbalizing it.
And you're doing it with the group energy, because I can feel as I'm reading it that you guys in on it bring in something to the conversation. So which bit felt funny?
What's he saying there? I mean, in essence, he's just saying that you cannot judge, because what you're judging is an illusion. There's an illusion. He gives up an illusion, or better, he has an illusion of giving up.
Yeah.
Forgiveness is an illusion, but it's the only illusion that's going to free you from all illusions. We've actually become more honest. You go, I can't really judge, because how can I know? I don't really know anything. You're judging someone, as is one passage, he says, you'd have to know everything about them, everything in time and space about this person, in order to be able to judge them.
And it doesn't feel good to judge, does it? So we end up feeling bad because of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's nothing to know.
Judgment is the weapon of the ego. And there's two senses of judgment. I mean, because he uses judgment in the last judgment. That's today's reading of the Manual for Teachers, which is the Holy Spirit's judgment. So that judgment is neither good nor bad, is only judgment there is. So here he's talking about the judgment of the Holy Spirit. There's only one. Perfect love's extension is innocent and sin does not exist.
Yeah.
Okay, so none of this is real. That's the Holy Spirit's judgment. But the negative judgment of the ego, and it's talking about what you judging, condemning someone, for being bad, for being sinful, for being evil, guilty. That's the judgment that makes these things real. Gives it a reality in your mind, and then you can't escape it. And so you've already judged yourself. You've enslaved yourself into an illusion, and you're projecting your own condemnation onto someone else. Why it doesn't work. I mean, just if you think about how the ego's judgment works, it's always you experience whatever you're judging, don't you? You judge that person and you feel angry and this evil person. What do you experience? You experience a contraction in your mind.
Yeah.
And it's a covering over perfect love. You're no longer experiencing perfect love. In that moment, you're experiencing anger, hatred. It's a very contracted, narrow state, which doesn't feel good. It's a covering over pure formless awareness. So by definition, just by judging real time, you're experiencing the effects of your judgment. In other words, you're judging yourself. And you are covering over pure formless awareness of perfect love in that moment and blocking your access to it in that moment. It's so straightforward if you think about it. It's like obvious. Yes. As soon as I think that and I feel that, I'm covering over my true awareness and it doesn't feel good. So yes, of course I'm judging myself and I'm condemning myself because I experience real time that feeling of condemnation. It may seem that I'm condemning someone else, but actually condemnation is an energy that is very negative and very unpleasant. So I'm experiencing that by my own judgment. So I'm judging myself and I'm condemning myself. Once you start to become aware, I mean, it's so obvious. You go, well, yes, of course. How could I not see that before? The ego has just confused us and tried to get us to believe in it, that we can actually project judgment, and then we're off the hook. By judging someone else, we get off, and that's okay. But we don't, because immediately we judge, we contract and we cover over our own pure formless awareness, perfect love, and that's a block then to the awareness of perfect love. So that's the two senses of judgment that he uses the same word for both, and it might actually be worthwhile just changing the language as well. It's the only judgment there is. It's the only discernment doesn't really work there, but you could use discernment. It's the only discernment there is. It's only one. It's just like it's the truth that none of this is real. That's the Holy Spirit's only judgment. It doesn't get into the interpretation and giving it a meaning it doesn't have and going, well, this person did this and this and that, therefore they're evil, they're bad, or it doesn't do that. It just says, remember that all of it is unreal. So therefore none of it exists. Sin doesn't exist, there is no guilt. None of it is true. So don't go into the details of what's not true. You don't need to. It simply isn't true. And so it's a blanket approach to just saying, well, I can let go of anything now. And not get engaged in the false judgments that the ego, it loves you to judge, because it makes the ego and the world it's made real when you judge in the condemnatory sense. So if you have a foil like you have and you're tempted to judge him, and then you don't give into that temptation, you let it go. That's the quickest way of undoing then the ego, because it wants you to do it. Now you're denying it its food. You're not giving it to it. Saying, no, I'm not going to go there. I'm going to let go, consciously let go of that judgment. Then you're undoing the ego.
Yeah.
Because the ego works through judgment. Self-concept is strengthened whenever you judge someone else as different from you, because that's what's happening, isn't it? In any judgment, you're judging that person is somehow different from you. You're different from them. They're different from you. You're special. Your specialness is increased. So you're the special wife of the insane husband who's doing this. Do you see how it strengthens the identity?
Yeah.
Of the special self?
Yeah.
Rather than, well, actually that's not me. That character's not me. And no, there is no special relationship. This is, in the end, it's just spirit and ego. That's all that's playing out.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there's only one way out. That's just the Holy Spirit's judgment that none of it's true. So everyone's completely innocent.
Yeah.
Including your husband and you. Everyone's completely innocent. And what's going on is a fiction. It's just false.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of mind training to realize that, but that's the way out.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, makes sense.
Okay, next one, the only true judgment.
Yeah. The only true judgment is that everyone is completely innocent, because nothing they seem to say or do has really happened, and therefore has no effect on their or your true reality, which is eternally unchangeable and therefore invulnerable to whatever you may think has happened. If you can shall I carry on?
Yeah, any thoughts on that paragraph?
It's, as you've just so well explained, it's what we're seeing is the blocks to the awareness of love's presence projected out. So it's not real. It's just the blocks that we need to be aware of and let go of. So nothing's happened, and if we can let go of the blocks, well, the true reality is still there beneath it all. So the letting go, purifies the mind so that we can rest in that true reality, the true self, connected with God, unchangeable,
and vulnerable to whatever you think has happened.
Yeah.
And that's the fundamental premise of Yeshua's teachings.
Yes. Shall I read that?
Yeah.
If you can accept this fundamental premise of Yeshua's teachings, then everything you perceive in the seemingly external universe must logically be false. Therefore, your ability to forgive or let go ultimately depends on faith. Will you accept this fundamental premise or deny it? Well, it's faith for a while, isn't it? And then you begin to see the changes as you let go.
As you let go, you start seeing that it works. That's better than the old thought system, and then your faith is strengthened. But it's asking for a leap of faith initially because you don't believe it.
Yeah.
The fundamental premise, when you start forgiving, you don't believe it. The strong part of your mind still believes in the ego and in its interpretation of reality. And so you have to accept, okay, I don't fully understand this, but I'm willing to just kind of fake it until I make it. It does make sense, maybe intellectually, and I want healing, so I'm willing to go down this path. And as I practice this letting go, forgiveness, I'm awakening to the truth.
Yeah.
That this fundamental premise is true. That everything I perceive in the seemingly external universe is is false. I mean, it's quite a belief.
Yeah.
Everything I'm seeing here is false. It's not really there. There is no world. That's mind-blowing.
Yeah.
So what am I seeing then? Seems to be real, but isn't. It's an elaborate construction of the mind, an illusion designed to perpetuate the false identity. That's why we've invented it.
Yeah.
When you understand that the self-concept is behind the entire universe of time and space, the ego self-concept, then you have the key to undoing it. Because you're not looking outside of yourself for the solution. You say that's going to the self-concept and letting it go. That's the answer.
Mm. Yeah.
So the world is a projection of your self-concept.
Yeah.
Which is quite big.
Yeah.
Around that. Okay, this is all of my own self-concept projected out. And now I have to deal with the effects of my insane self-concept showing up in my life and seemingly being real.
Mm.
And the only way to do that is to forgive or to let go of them. It
Yeah.
starts with a fundamental premise. Will you accept it? Say, yes, okay, I accept that it is all unreal, even though I don't fully believe it maybe now, and I still think, I still have ideas and beliefs that it is real, lurking in my subconscious, but I'm willing to accept the fundamental premise. Yes, okay. And therefore, based on that fundamental premise, I start down the track of forgiveness and letting go. And the more I let go, the more that fundamental premise starts to grow in my mind. I have my faith in it grows as I practice forgiveness.
Yeah.
Because no one accepts the fundamental premise fully to start with. Of course they don't. Otherwise they wouldn't need forgiveness. So kind of start with some faith and then start forgiving, and then you see the results. And he's saying, just have a little willingness to start this process and let the Holy Spirit guide you on it. Just a little willingness to say, well, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe, everything I have believed up to this point is wrong.
Yeah.
Then there's the openness to start this journey.
Yeah.
Then the Holy Spirit can work with it. But if you think you're right and you're not willing to even be willing to consider that Yeshua might be right and you're wrong, that this fundamental premise that the world's an illusion is actually correct. If you're not willing to consider that, then you can't do this course, can you?
No.
You just stop there and go, no, that's ridiculous. Ridiculous notion. I'm not even willing to consider that, and willing to consider then a whole teaching based on that premise, because that's what the whole teaching is based on. It's not a simple premise. Okay, so stated another way.
Stated in another way, you will let go of your mental and emotional attachments to the people, things, and events and circumstances that seem to exist in this world, which means you must have accepted the premise that they are not true, or allow the ego's reactive thoughts and emotions that cover over or negate the truth that only pure formless awareness of perfect love is real, to dominate your mind and drown out the Holy Spirit's voice that reminds you of the truth.
So will you let go of all of this stuff, or will you hold on to it? So that's where the rubber meets the road in this. It's not just theoretical. It's will you let go of your mental and emotional attachment to these people, things, events, circumstances, because that's where the belief that the world is real or not shows up. It gets very, very practical and very experiential. Shows up in your mental and emotional attachments, which then you need to either let go of or believe in and attach to more. Those are the choices. Okay, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, lots, but I can't make sense of it at the moment.
Okay. Is that just because a lot of, is there anything you don't understand, or is it just
No, just something up for me. No, just an unreal situation was just coming up on my phone as you were talking, and I was thinking, can I let it go? And then there was a feeling like I couldn't be bothered. I couldn't be bothered to make the effort to let it go.
really? Okay. Even though it's more effort to hold on, actually.
Yeah, I know. Strange, isn't it? I think it was like a feeling like I can't go there. So the can't be bothered was like a cover over it. I didn't want to go there.
Disturbed, so it does get harder to, in some ways, to have to deal with some of these emotions. But then that resistance is what needs to be released, isn't it? So that you can respond, but with minimal effort.
Yeah, and it starts with willingness. Yes, you're saying, well, how, if you believe in an illusion, how do you start getting yourself out of it? Well, it starts with the willingness to consider something else, saying, well, maybe that's not true. And that willingness is necessary to then start down a path like this and start practicing something like this and forgiving.
There was something a few days ago, I can't remember the quote about, and it's for, using these things for learning, or for want of a better word, I can't quite remember the phraseology, but whatever's coming up, there will be something in it. So like we've had this situation where yesterday the microwave stopped working, and today when the guy arrived, it was working when he got here. But in the meantime, there were so many opportunities for letting go of stuff and seeing things differently, and so much growth in that situation. And that's the change. That's a change of perception, really, isn't it? It's just like, instead of being, how annoying the microwave stopped, and then when you got here it worked, and how weird is that? Seeing the benefits of looking for the learning in the situation and looking for what it might be showing you. And there is growth in this stuff. I don't know what Sally's dealing with here, but it's getting beyond
any
resistance
difficulty.
to looking at the learning.
In any difficulty, there's an opportunity to learn. You can let go of another layer of the ego. When you recognize that and you fully get it, you're like, bring it on. Well, bring on the difficulties then, because that's how I learn. I don't avoid them. I welcome them, because that's the fast track.
Yeah.
That takes a lot of mind training. All things, he says, it takes great learning to realize that all things, people, events, and circumstances are helpful.
Yeah.
Because that's the reinterpretation of all of them, saying, okay, well, they're all helpful, so bring it on. There's no resistance to it.
Yeah. Yeah, taking the negative emotions out so that spirit can resolve the situation, whatever it is, in the optimal way that we won't necessarily have even thought of the answer for. Easier said than done, but it's practice, isn't it? It's the practice.
But if you can take it in, if you can get into that state of awareness, pure formless awareness, you empty yourself. In the emptiness, something can arise. You can get a thought, an inspiration. Something else can happen. It's like you go to the empty vessel idea. You clear out the vessel, throw away all the old rubbish, water or whatever's in it, and now it's empty, and it can receive something else. So that's why this is a source of universal inspiration. You let go, and you open your mind now to be filled with the truth rather than illusions. And then you can receive guidance. So forgiveness and guidance go hand in hand. If you can't forgive, then you remain stuck and blocked and cluttered in your mind. You can't listen to the guidance.
So what was coming up for me was one of my tenants was texting me as usual and saying she couldn't get her hot water to work, and so I was asking her a few questions about it, and it turned out, as far as I can see, that she hadn't set the timer with the correct time and for it to come on and off. And so she was just demonstrating, like she couldn't be bothered to do it. She just wanted somebody to do it for her, which is an absolute mirror image of me, that I've got a central heating timer and a smart meter that needs reading and I can't be bothered. And so I sat with it while you were talking, and it took me to a really painful place. I couldn't give it any words, couldn't describe it, but it really hurt. It was like I didn't want to go to that hurt place. Anyway, I sat with it, and the hurt is there, but I'm quite willing to sit with it.
Yeah, so that's interesting. So
Interesting.
you see how it triggers then the emotional pain. And what most people don't want to do, they don't want to face that.
Yeah.
So they'll look for some kind of solution on the level of form rather than just go, okay, well, let's look at that. Let's actually feel that pain and be willing to go through it.
Once I decide to sit with the pain, I find it quite pleasurable. It's like quite enjoyable to feel it unfold. And whatever, eventually you go to the love, don't you? So it's a beautiful journey. But it's that initial resistance to go in there. When you try and you just find want a repairman to come out and fix it for you or whatever. So, but to actually sit with it is quite a joy in the end. But the resistance that lovely tenant showed me was my own.
Yeah, well, there you go. So that's how it works. Miracle in action. You get the situation, you reinterpret it, you see it correctly, you realize it's your own resistance, you sit with it, and then you can release it. You can go, well, it's just a feeling within me that's based on a false belief about myself. It's a self-concept that's being shown to you. The self-concept, reason it hurt is because there's a part of you that couldn't be bothered to really learn this course and know the truth. Because it's like, well, whatever, I'm not, and it's that resistant self that then is shown to you, and it hurts. Because you realize, well, actually, yes, there's an element of truth in that. But in facing it and then letting it go, you can let it go. You can overcome that little part of your ego mind in real time in that situation.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to happen again. So miracle in action. That's how it works.
Funny, isn't it?
Yeah, and then you get the opportunity real time to practice. So yeah, I mean, it's great. You've got lots of tenants to test you. It's like you go, oh, bring it on.
Yeah.
Whatever, so that I can really get good at this. When nothing triggers me, then I know I've achieved my goal. I'm enlightened. Nothing can trigger me. I'm just rooted in pure formless awareness of perfect love. And that's all.
I think the reason that happened is because I hope it's all right to say, Jackie, that Jackie and I were having this conversation beforehand about writing the book together, and that was kind of what we were going to write it about. So it's like real life was showing up and going, yeah, there you go. That's what you're going to put in the book, that sort of stuff.
Yeah. All just
we've got to write down all this. Yeah, we've got to start writing right now. This is it.
Yeah.
This is coming up.
Well, just keep a journal of it, and then say, forgiveness journal. That's a good idea. Say what experiences came up. Write them down, and so then you can remember back and include them in your book, because it's these experiences that are inspiring for people. So okay, so that's how it works. It's actually very practical.
I've got a sneaking suspicion that I've just signed up the 365 days of this stuff coming up now. Because we said we're going to write it all down. Like, oh yes, I kind of opened up to this stuff. Actually, all those little painful parts will start coming up again now, won't they? Oh, great. Joy.
Keep a forgiveness diary. So, okay, so what came up, write it down and document the feeling this, and then sat with it for a bit, and if you keep a record, could be the foundation for the book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've got all this. I mean, where it really gets inspiring for people is if they can see the principles applied.
Yeah, that's what we were saying.
Principles and theory is one thing, but it's the application of it in real world situations, so-called real world, in practical situations, that people then go, wow, okay, so that that I can see how that can really help me, because I have something similar. I resonate with your story, and that's why, I mean, we had this discussion a while ago. I think that's why your story can be important. Temporarily, it's a good teaching device. I mean, I noticed yesterday I was telling my story, and Susie really resonated with it. She was like, oh, that's amazing, because it's a story that of a character in the dream on a practical level that people can then relate to, and so, oh, okay, so you've had that as well. Okay, I get it. Yeah, I've also had those thoughts and feelings, and now I can resonate and I can understand, and it's not just all theoretical, and I don't pedestalize you. I don't put you on a pedestal and go, oh, well, you're so amazingly special or some kind of guru that you just get it, and I can't possibly ever attain that level. And so that's the value of humanizing and telling the story, because people then go, okay, well, you're not that different from me. I can resonate with your story. I have a similar story, it's elements in common. So it creates a sympathetic resonance, which is helpful for people to accept these teachings and then actually apply them in their own lives.
Very cool. Very cool.
One more paragraph. In any festive season.
In any festive season, it's all too easy as we buy presents and copious amounts of food and drink to satisfy our desires and the body's apparent needs, and spend time with family and friends who seem to warrant your judgment, be mesmerized by the world of form that is an optical delusion of consciousness, as Einstein called it, and forget the true message of Christmas, which is to remind us of the eternal transcendent self, or Christ, and reality. It knows, it knows is true that, I don't know what that means, hang on. It knows is true that Yeshua identified completely with and was born into the world to teach us.
A long sentence.
Give me these long sentences.
They do actually make sense, though.
They don't. It's gone wrong, this one.
The transcendent self of Christ and reality, it knows, the Christ knows is true. So the reality it knows is true. That Yeshua identified completely with, because he was the Christ. So he epitomized it, and he was born into the world to teach it. So that's the whole message of Christmas. A transcendent reality, the Christ self born into the world, not an orgy of feasting and food and carnal indulgence. That's not what it's about. It's about transcending all that stuff. So again, the ego's hijacked things, as it does. But within that construct, you can still see the love. There is a connection, there is a unity at Christmas that is lovely, because there's a sense of joining in. Well, it's Christmas, so the Christmas spirit is let go of everything else and just join with people and lay aside your differences and come together, and for that time suspend the judgment. Sometimes happens, other time people don't always follow that. There's lots of judgment and ego stuff that can come around Christmas, but the Christmas message is, well, transcend it, let it go, and find that universal spirit that Yeshua symbolized, and see it, that it's there, it's in everyone.
Yeah.
That's what Christmas is actually about. And all the other stuff, really, I mean, we could just do without. We don't need, actually the authentic way to spend Christmas would be spend a day of fasting, meditation, prayer, really going deeply into a connection with spirit, and experiencing that, rather than eating, drinking, and making merry. But as I said, the ego's got hold of it and has made it into something that's externalized. So it's for a lot of people, it's about, oh no, yeah, great, have lots of nice food, lots of drink, it's a party, basically, excuse for a party, rather than let's really go within and connect with that Christ self on the day that is symbolically dedicated to the birth of that Christ self into the world.
And of course, a lot of people's, they spend Christmas on their own, and that's a whole other dilemma, and it's another, I guess, separation idea. And it's a difficult time, actually. It brings up a lot of stuff for people, I think, but yeah, not everybody knows how to deal with it. We're very fortunate in that we know, we have this training in this course.
Yeah.
How to.
How do you actually deal with these challenges? And you've been trained by the master himself. He came into the world to demonstrate this. And now he's given us a course to train us. It's not just a demonstration of his life. That was the start, but it's a detailed mind training course to help us to do what he did, to identify fully with the Christ self and transcend the world.
Yeah.
So you look at, the whole Christian story. For me, A Course in Miracles is the natural conclusion of it. You have to come back. This is the second coming. You're not going to come in the physical, because that's ridiculous. There's no, the body's not necessary. But the spirit of the Christ will come into the world via this teaching and resurrect the mind and help people to realize that they are the Christ that he symbolized 2,000 years ago. And so that story is going to be ongoing. I think we're in the next phase of it. Interesting that almost 2,000 years to the day after he died, not quite, it was a little bit shy of 2,000 years, but roughly 2,000 years, then this new teaching comes in. And there's something about 2,000 years, I don't know what it is, but this apparently it's an age, there's the ages, Aquarian age, Piscean age, something about 2,000 years is significant. So we're at the start of the new age of an awakening, and there's no accident that he brought A Course in Miracles into the world then. He waited 2,000 years to bring the teaching in because the world wasn't ready for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
He did all of that evolution, that growth to almost catch up. Just shows you how far ahead of his time he was. 2,000 years ahead of his time. To now finally say, okay, this is what the true teaching was, and now finally you have the consciousness to start accepting and actually living this, and the technology like books, printing and internet to share this, so that this can really get out as a world teaching and transform people's minds, and that that's what's going to change the world, nothing else.
Absolutely. And you think of the sort of Christmas message, peace to all mankind. You think if everybody could clear all their blocks and find that peace of mind, that would be.
Yeah, forget about world peace. Just start with peace in your own living room. That's what's important, and then the bigger things would take care of themselves. Everyone was in a peaceful state of mind.
Yeah.
And we wouldn't create the kind of karma that we do, and we wouldn't have the conflicts and wars and so on, because it's all a product of the deluded mind.
Yeah.
The
Yes.
Really, it's a message to say, well, bring it home to yourself. Come back to yourself, realize who you are, and forgive whatever's going on. in your world.
Absolutely.
You know, your drama. You don't have to go looking for bigger things. You just have to forgive what's going on in your illusion.
Yeah.
Whatever's showing you the ego needs to be completely released.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so any thoughts on that teaching? It's just another, I mean, you know, we do this over and over. We've looked at projection, perception, but I don't think you can look at it often enough because it's absolutely fundamental to learning this course.
Yeah.
You have to understand the mechanism of what's going on to then accept the truth that, you know, only forgiveness is going to work.
Yeah.
So the metaphysics and then the remedy go hand in glove. You know, the one leads to the other.
Mhm.
Metaphysics lead to the remedy, and the remedy helps you learn the metaphysics. Forgiveness helps you learn, you know, that actually this fundamental premise is true. But yes, the world is all an illusion. Okay, so should we have a look at the lesson for today? How are we doing? Yeah, okay, should have enough time to do this and maybe a meditation.
But I was thinking about the order of things,
Mhm.
whether it would be better to do the manual for teachers and do the meditation afterwards, because meditation kind of takes you into a different mindset of winding down, by which time I personally feel I'm done.
Yeah. Yeah, we sometimes do that. So we go read the lesson, and there's actually a new insert as well on what is the last judgment. So it depends on how much time you got. If we can read that, that'd be great. But
That insert would be really good for you.
Should we do the insert
what is the last judgment?
after the lesson then? And then that would be good for me.
Okay.
Do the lesson, do the last judgment, and then I will have to go.
Okay. All right. So there's the lesson. If you want to read that, judge all things.
I judge all things as I would have them be. I judge everything as I want it to be. Gone croaky. Yeah, I judge everything as I want it to be. That was very profound this morning. I was getting a lot from that when I was.
Yeah, it kind of that just sort of changes it somewhat, doesn't it? Little reinterpretation, change of language. I judge everything as I want it to be. Wow. So I'm judging, and my judgment is my desire of what I want to be and what I want to see.
Yeah, it's powerful, isn't it?
Really how this whole desire mechanism of the ego works. Yeah, I want to be a victim, so I judge that I've been unfairly treated.
Yeah.
Yeah, not I'm unfairly treated and therefore I'm a victim. No, I choose to be a victim and therefore I choose to perceive a judge that I've been unfairly treated.
Well, I judge it's going to be a bad day.
Yeah, because I want it to be a bad day. Why?
What a bad day.
Because I deserve to be punished. That's why. I'm a sinner and I'm guilty, and sinners and people who sin and are guilty must be punished. You see, so it's a self-concept that's always primary.
Yeah, it's really powerful, isn't it? I can feel it in my body, in my belly.
I judge everything as I want it to be. Wow. So actually the world that we live in is how we want it to be.
Yeah.
Think about that.
No, it's incredible, isn't it?
It's mine. Like, why would I want it to be so dysfunctional? Well, you know, then you've got to look at the self-concept that would want that and go, does that make any sense? Is that a self-concept that I want? Why would you want to have an evil husband and a divorce that's really messy? And why would you want that? That's a question, isn't it? Why would you want that?
Any ideas?
Perhaps because on one level I needed my freedom to do the spiritual work that I couldn't do in that relationship, but I had to make it so awful that the whole situation is so awful that I could leave with no regrets.
Yeah.
Get out of it with no regrets. Who knows? Who
But,
knows?
on a metaphysical level, the reason why you want it is because you feel like you deserve to be punished. See,
Yeah.
that's why guilt is at the core.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you punish somebody else because you feel like you need punishing. So you project it out onto them and punish them. Yeah.
And you're punishing yourself because you're suffering.
Yeah.
So I judge everything as I want it to be. Well, that self-concept of being the sinner, guilty, the victim, this is what I want it to be, because that self-concept is what I identify with. That's what I'm choosing to believe in.
Yeah,
And
very, very powerful.
I judge everything as I want. I judge everything as I want it to be, because that is what my self-concept wants. That is what perpetuates my self-concept. And I prefer the self-concept of being a victim and being punished and unfairly treated. I prefer that self-concept to the Christ, is who I really am. Because I prefer to be separate than to be one self. And so it all comes down to, what do you want to be? Desire again. What do I want? What do I choose to be? Do I want to be one self, the Christ, or do I want to be a separate self, a victim? And everything is a reflection of that decision.
Wow.
All of your perceptions are a reflection of that decision, choice to be the Christ or to be the separate self, without exception. So look at the instrument for peace again. You see, here it's shown to you. Everything, your perception sits at the top of the whole tree. Everything is a projection of your self-concept, without exception.
Well, of course, self-creation is it's mind-blowing.
It is. Yeah.
It's not easy to get your head around that, but everything, without exception, in this world is a projection of your self-concept, of what you desire to be. When you can take that kind of radical responsibility, then you can be free. See, okay, I did it all. It's just a false desire. I chose to be a separate self and a victim for no reason at all. This is insane. It's crazy. There's no justification for this. And now I have a set of beliefs and thoughts and emotions and perceptions that are the product of this. The way out of it is to realize that all of it is, I judge everything as I want it to be. My perception of it is as I want it to be. And you see why the miracle needs to go to the core level of the desire and say, well, what do I want? What do I want to be? Who do I want to be? And then I choose how I want it to be. My perception is a choice based on who I choose to be. So it's all related to self-concept. That's really the key, the absolute key to understanding forgiveness. It's my self-concept that I'm choosing in every moment. My perception is a product of my self-concept. The two are integrally linked. I can't divorce them. Yeah, part of the fun.
That is funny. That's why I haven't been able to get divorced.
Yeah, because you're divorcing your own self-concept.
Yeah.
Aren't you?
Part
You
of
have,
my
to,
next
you have to
book.
let go of the self-concept of being a victim in order for that to happen. And you're working through that, and you're going to do it, but it's a process.
Yeah.
Because you convinced yourself so thoroughly that you were a victim that now you've got to undo all of that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Fun, isn't it?
Divorcing my own self-concept. That's definitely the next book.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good title, actually.
Yeah.
Very good.
When you divorce your own self-concept. And that's a whole nother angle on divorce.
Yeah.
You want to write a book on divorce? Well, divorce your self-concept first.
Yeah.
Because that's the whole problem. And there's huge learning in that. It's not the other person, it's your own self-concept that's the problem, and they're just the mirror of that.
Yeah.
So that person is your best teacher, because they're showing you your self-concept in the mirror.
Yeah.
All the time, and then you get to yes, I choose to be like that. I judge it as I want it to be. Okay, I accept that. I'll be the victim. Or no, I don't accept that. I'm the Christ, and I don't accept that that's reality and that's true. And that decision at the core is then going to determine the beliefs, the thoughts, the emotions, and the perceptions that make up your life. That's what makes up your life: belief, thought, emotion, perception. So when you say this is life-changing, it absolutely is. It goes to the very, very core of what your life is, that decision. Because that decision brings you into the real world, when our spirit is behind your mind and perceiving, or into the false world, where you're believing in illusions and trying to make the illusions stack up and be real.
So
Jackie nearly didn't come on the call today, and I said, "Oh, do you think you're avoiding something? Because it seems like a really good subject for you."
Yeah.
She had a clear on avoidance.
Yeah.
And now we're here. It seems like a really good session, doesn't it?
Well, we've had- well,
Well, that's what unfolds. You just go, and then stuff happens, and if you don't show up, then you miss it. I mean, I guess you could get it on a recording, but it's not quite the same, is it?
No, it's not so at all.
And the problem is you need live interaction for the call to happen. Otherwise, it's just, imagine if I was on my own trying to do a monologue. I mean, it doesn't work, does it? You can't
No.
get the same level of understanding and depth. Okay, so judgment was made to be a weapon. If you read that, Jackie. Not a lot of translations. You read the translated version, which is the one below in grey.
Okay. Judgment was made to be a weapon used against the truth. It separates what it is being used against and sets it off as if it were a thing apart. And then it makes of it what you want it to be. Judges what it cannot understand because it cannot perceive totality and therefore judges falsely. Let us not use it today, but rather make a gift of it to perfect love, which is a different use for it. Will relieve us of the agony of all the judgments we have made against ourselves and re-establish peace of mind by giving us perfect love's judgment of its extension.
Agony of all the judgments
Mm.
we have made. How much pain do we cause ourselves through these judgments?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's true.
So perfect love's judgment of its extension, God's judgment of his son, is only one. You are the same as me. There's only pure love. There's only perfect love there. And if God is perfect love, then so must its extension be. It's logical. It can't be something else other than what it is. So it comes down to the simple idea. There's only one awareness. There's one true awareness, and all other awareness is false. Judging in the ego's framework just makes that false awareness true for you, which is why it's a weapon used to be a weapon used against the truth. Because it separates. Notice what judgment does. It separates you from others, doesn't it? It sets it off as if you were a thing apart. So now you judge a person, and what do you think when you judge them? You're separate from them. They are not you. That's the mindset, isn't it? The more you judge them, the more separate they seem to be. The more apart you seem to be, the more your individual self is strengthened, and that's why it's a weapon for the self-concept. So the ego cannot exist without judgment. Got to understand that. If you're not judging and condemning, then it's going to disappear. It requires judgment in order to maintain itself, which is why you're addicted to judgment. And it's why we have all these dramas in our lives, because we need the dramas apparently to justify the judgment. So now we are absolutely justified in judging because look at what the person's done. But what a setup. The ego set it up that way so that we have exactly what we want. All of it's exactly as we chose. Every last detail. All the pain, the misery, the suffering, the sickness, the death. It's all a product of a self-concept that's deluded. It wants to believe in its separate identity rather than the truth that it is simply one self. Quite extraordinary, really. Think, wow, what a mind job.
Yes.
What a mind job. What have we done to create such chaos and havoc from pure formless awareness? Well, that's what happens if you reverse the truth. If you believe in what's false, then this is what happens. The world's a demonstration of what happens when you believe in a false identity. So now you have the choice: do I accept it or not? Do I want the false identity or not? And anyone in their right mind is going to say no. It's crazy. It's insane. It's mad. There's no hope in it. Why would I want that? I choose only the spirit, which is always loving, peaceful, happy, joyful. And it really is unmoved by any of this craziness that I've invented.
Yeah.
Okay, so any thoughts on number one? And give a little summary of that, Jackie. What's he saying there? Summary.
Well, judgment is the ego's main weapon. It's the thing that reinforces the idea that we are separate from other people and prevents us from seeing us all as part of the whole. Once you've judged it, you can put any meaning you like on it.
Yeah. Once you judge, you're in an illusion, and then illusions multiply illusions. As soon as you start down that path, one illusion leads to another. You get sucked into a thought system from which there's no escape unless you reverse the judgment.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm saying, the only way out is forgiveness. You must let go of these judgments. Then you're undoing the self-concept that wanted them, and you're opening your mind to the truth of pure formless awareness, what you really are. And that's going to then reinterpret. That's the Holy Spirit's function. That just reinterprets all of the external projections for you in a way that's not judgmental in the egoic sense. Simply, the only judgment is none of this is real. That's a judgment, I guess. It's an evaluation of everything, but there's no condemnation in it. You're not saying, well, none of it's real and it's really bad and evil. You're just saying, no, it's not real. And so there's a letting go in that judgment, isn't there? You're not seeing the duality, seeing the evil anymore. You're just saying, no, it's not even there. It's not real. Okay, happy to move on to number two.
My source, I wait with open mind today to hear your judgment of the extension you love. I do not know it, and so I cannot judge it. And so I let your love decide what I, whom you extend as your extension, must be.
Interesting. Comes down to the self-concept, you see. So I let your love decide Well, I, whom you extend as your extension, must be. So it's not my own decision as to what I am.
Mm.
I surrender to the love that I am, that it must be what I am.
Mm.
If I'm an extension of the source, then I must be like the source. I cannot be otherwise.
Mm.
Ego believes that you can be otherwise than your source, but that's the delusion we have to heal. How can the extension of source be different from its source?
Mm.
Can't be, in truth. Anything to the contrary must then be a delusion. Just a false awareness with no real roots. There's no substantial root. There's no cause for the idea of separation.
Mm.
If there's no cause for it, then it cannot maintain in your mind. So you're collapsing the whole dream when you understand there's no cause. There's no source for separation. It has no source at all.
Sounds very marriagey. Separation. Every time you say separation, I think, yeah, okay.
Sounds very marriagey.
Yeah, like a marriage when you're separated. The more you judge your partner, the more
Yeah.
separated you become. And so you
Yeah.
become disconnected from each other and you end up divorcing.
Yeah. Which is just how the belief in separation plays out.
Can I just leave you for a bit? I just got to go and do something, Jono. I'll leave you with Jackie and I'll come back in 20 minutes.
Can you give me time to go to the loo?
Oh, all right. I'll cover her loo break and then I'll go and do what I need to do.
Okay. All right. So I just wanted to show the timeline of consciousness, because it's about recognizing that the source and its extension cannot be separate, no matter what illusions the egos interpose. So that all the red stuff is illusion, blocks to the awareness of love's presence. But these blocks, the ego psychological and emotional attachments, they have no source. There's nowhere they go, you see. Isn't that interesting? It's just like it's just there and then it ends. There's no big blue thing that it goes to. It's just it actually has no source, and that's visually represented here. Just coming out of nowhere, an idea coming out of nowhere that's nothing. That's the ego. No proper source. Whereas the spirit has this deeper source that you're connecting with. When you forgive, this takes you back into this awareness. So our judgment of all of these situations, the traumas that seem to happen, that is what makes it all real. It is what roots us on the timeline, gives our self-concept some kind of reality, keeps us separate from our true awareness, pure formless awareness of perfect love, and keeps us in this very reactive, judgmental state of mind our whole lives, just going from birth to death. And we must interrupt that pattern with forgiveness by letting go of the psychological and emotional attachments, the judgments, and in the process restoring our minds to this awareness. So yeah, whichever way you look at it, diagrammatically, we must be as the same as our source. It's a very simple teaching. Okay, so any thoughts on the lesson? Good one today. Judge everything as I want it to be. And that can be used positively or negatively.
Yes.
So I judge everything as I want it to be. Yes, I've misused that. And I've used it to perpetuate my ego identity of being a victim. But now I can change that around and judge everything as I want it to be. I want it to be happy. I want a happy dream.
Yeah.
I want peace, I want love, I want to be who I really am. So now I can use, my judgment accordingly.
Yeah. Yes, I mean, I've talked before about the coaching system I use, and that, essentially people will come, they'll tell you what their issues are, and the first thing you say is, what do you want to see instead? And then you do a process that sows that new choice into their subconscious mind. It's very simple. People normally come back to, what they actually want. When they go through all the things that they think they want, they normally come back to that they just want peace of mind. So even if they have no idea of A Course in Miracles, they still come back to basically a Course in Miracles concept.
Well, it's the truth. It's the universal truth.
Yeah.
We all want, in the end, what do we want? We want to be happy.
Yeah.
Happiness or peace of mind or inner peace, or there's other words, contentment, fulfillment. Can use whatever word. It's just a pointer.
Yeah.
We're all seeking that, and you either seek that correctly through a means that will work, and the only way that's going to work is forgiveness, or you seek it incorrectly, and we look for happiness in all kinds of strange ways, which are not going to work. And so the world is set up. People are seeking for happiness, but never finding it because they're looking in the wrong place. You never find it in the world.
No.
But we have a entire illusion set up to meet that search. Everyone's searching for it, and never finding it externally. And that's the pointless, futile world we've invented. So it's only by letting go of believing that you're ever going to find it there. That's a key thing. That's why Yeshua keeps going on. He hammers on about don't value what's valueless, and don't give it an importance and a meaning it doesn't have. Nothing I see means anything. Lesson 1, and it continues. Those first few lessons are all about meaning, because he knows that as long as we think there's an answer in the world and we're seeking outside of ourselves for that answer, then we're never going to find it. Well, the futile search will continue in the dream world when the answer's there. It's hidden in plain sight. It's in you. It goes with you everywhere you go. That's why enlightened beings, they laugh when they get it. They're like, oh, what a joke that is. It's always been there. I've been seeking it and seeking it, thinking it wasn't there, and it was always there. It was just hidden in plain sight. But it's taken however many years of seeking to finally realize that the truth, that it's there. It always has been there. I just couldn't see it.
Yeah.
Which is bizarre. It's like walking around with. Have you ever done that? I've done that once, twice, where I've been looking for something and I've actually had it with me the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah. Or it's where it was meant to be.
I was looking for a key, I think, once, and my hand was so firmly clasped on the key that I forgot that I had the key.
Oh, really?
Yes. And I was looking for a key for like 5 minutes or 10 minutes. And then suddenly I opened, I said, what's in my hand? Oh, I've actually have the key. Bizarre.
Yes.
How do we do that? But that's just symbolic of what we do in our lives. You have the key, it's there all along, but you're holding on to it so tightly that you've forgotten it. And you're seeking outside of yourself. So your whole perception is looking outside, when actually all you have to do is look at what you already have.
Yeah.
It's already in your hand, already within you.
Yes. Well, that really demonstrates it, doesn't it? Actually in your hand.
Yeah, it was literally in the palm of my hand. Yeah. And because the ego had hijacked my perception and gone search outside, I couldn't experience. I obviously had no perception of my hand holding something because my mind was so entrained to looking outside that I'd forgotten that. And I mean, that's just symptomatic of how the ego works. Hijacked our perception, convinced us the answers outside, and then we have to go on this obsessive compulsive search for the answer outside. And that's how most people live their lives.
Yeah.
Desperately trying to seek something outside. It's in the next job. It's in the special relationship that you're going to have, Mr. or Mrs. Right. It's in your family that you're going to have. It's in the money you're going to make. It's in the career success. It's in, the car you're going to buy, and on and on and on and on it goes. All just forms of deluded seeking for what you'll never find. You'll never find happiness there.
No.
Seek and do not find. That's the ego's mantra.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we now have a teaching where he's just calling it for what it is. He's saying, well, don't be confused. Don't believe this. It's never going to work. Nothing the ego ever has asked you to do or will ask you to do is ever going to work. So just stop the game. Stop listening to it. It's a remarkably poor choice of a teacher, as he says at some point in the course. Remarkably poor choice as a teacher of salvation. Yeah, because it's never going to work. It's never going to save you. So why would you continue to believe its lies?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the lesson done. Shall we have a look at new insert, preliminary section that answers the question. So this insert answers the question, what is the last judgment? Last and judgment being in capitals. So yeah, if you want to read the original and then read the translation, it's quite a bit to translate. So.
Okay.
Christ's second coming gives the Son of God this gift: to hear the voice for God proclaim that what is false, and what is true has never changed. And this the judgment is in which perception ends. At first you see a world that has accepted this as true, projected from a now corrected mind. And as with this holy sight, perception is a silent blessing and then disappears, its goal accomplished and its mission done. Your true self's second coming gives the extension of perfect love this gift: to hear the voice for perfect love proclaim that what is false, and what is true has never changed. And this is the judgment in which perception ends. At first you see a world that has accepted this as true, projected from a now corrected mind. And with this wholly aware sight, perception gives a silent blessing and then disappears, its goal accomplished and its mission done.
Okay, thoughts on that?
Well, I feel like we've just talked about that, really, that, the understanding that what is projected out there is simply false. The world is false, and the truth has always been there within us, but we've just not seen it because of all the blocks to the awareness of it. We talked the other day about the second coming, didn't we? And it being something sort of at the end of the process, the clearing process, if you like. So once we've cleared all the blocks, that's where perception ends.
Mm-hmm.
Now this bit slightly puzzles me. At first you see a world that has accepted this as true, projected from a now corrected mind. So at that point we see the peaceful, loving world. I don't know why it says at first. And it's presented.
Yeah, so it's a step. At first you see a world. So this is the real world. The world has accepted this as true, projected from a now corrected mind. So you're actually changing your projections. Saying this is, you change your perception, but you change projection. And
so the happy
world
dream,
that you
really.
project and perceive is a different world, because you're doing it from the true self now.
So is that the projection of the happy dream, or is that a stage further on?
Yeah, so this is the real world, he calls it, the world interpreted through the eyes of the Holy Spirit. the world that's happy, the happy dream, where you're in the world, but you're not of it. You realize that this world is just, it is just a projection, it's an illusion, and you're rooted in your deeper self. And that self is now perceiving and interpreting everything for you. And so you're in whole awareness. You're rooted in your true awareness. What's this wholly aware sight? Silent blessing.
Well, the connected, the sight that's connected, that comes through, true sight that comes through spirit, that knows the truth.
Yeah. So remember, we talked about the Holy Trinity, Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Let's just bring that up. So you see, now projected from a now corrected mind. So you identify with the Christ mind. Christ mind, one self, true self, is now projecting and perceiving this. And so your experience of the world is very different compared with the ego, because you no longer believe you're a separate self. You understand that this is just one self. Everything here that you're perceiving is really just a fragment of the one self. The fragments are not real.
Mm-hmm.
Only the one self is real. And the perceptions that the one self, the Christ, sponsors are the Holy Spirit's perceptions. Much lighter, freer perceptions. You don't have guilt and sin and fear and anger and attack anymore, because you perceive it as totally forgiven. There's no need for any of that. The self-concept that you believed in is no longer there. You only believe that you're one self, which connects you with your true awareness. Pure formless awareness of perfect love is the foundation for the one self. But the Christ and the Holy Spirit allow you to have the happy dream while you're here, because they can interact in the world and they can perceive correctly, help you make accurate decisions, and help you experience, as much peace and happiness as you possibly can. While you're still here, leading you back ultimately to God, to this pure formless awareness of perfect love that's behind it all.
Yeah.
So there's the operating system of the mind that you see. He's teaching us that over and over in all of these teachings. If you break it down into visual form, you can see that. And then finally, with this wholly aware sight, so once you've corrected your perception, so you've done this, you've identified fully the Christ, you've corrected your perception, you don't judge any of these things as real, then perception gives a final blessing. It gives a silent blessing and then disappears. Its goal accomplished and its mission done. And so perception is no longer necessary. You don't need to perceive an external world anymore, because the idea of separation is healed in your mind, and you don't need to believe that there is such a thing as an external world. And then you simply merge back into pure formless awareness of perfect love, which is your divine reality, and perception is over.
Yeah.
Disappears. Its goal accomplished and its mission done.
Mm.
Merge back into pure formless awareness of perfect love, which is your destiny.
Mm.
Okay. Happy with number one? Should we move on to number two?
Yeah. The final judgment on the world contains no condemnation, for it sees the world as totally forgiven, without sin and wholly purposeless, without a cause and now without a function in Christ's sight. It merely slips away to nothingness. There it was born, and there it ends as well, and all the figures in the dream in which the world began go with it. What is now useless and will therefore fade away, because the Son of God is limitless. The final judgment on the world contains no condemnation, for it perceives the world as totally unreal, without sin and wholly purposeless. Sneeze. Oh, excuse me. Without a cause and now without a function, in your true self's sight, it merely slips away to nothingness. There it was born, and there it ends as well. And all the figures in the dream in which the world began go with it. What is now useless and will therefore fade away, because the extension of perfect love is limitless.
Sally actually had a question about that.
She did. I don't know where she is actually.
She's around, though. Otherwise you can catch the recording. What does that actually mean, was her question. What do you think?
Well, the body is a communication device. So it's telling you what you need to know, what you need to clear, what the blocks are to being one with perfect love. Once the mind is healed and you've been through that, the second coming, and you've rejoined with perfect love, there's no need for a body, because there's nothing more to communicate. You're part of that oneness. You've done the work. You've done what you came here to do.
Yeah. Okay. So they will fade away once the mind has been fully enlightened. The body is not necessary anymore. It's not needed as a communication device or a learning vehicle or any of that, because you've learned the truth, and so it's unlikely to sustain for very long. You just lay it aside, however that looks, so the body dies in some way, but it's really just a letting go of the vehicle that served you well. It's given to help you to learn your lessons and find your way home. And it's not required. So temporarily you might have it, but it starts to fade away in your importance. I think while you're living in it, with it, in a more enlightened state, it's just a useful. See it as something that's useful and helpful, but not identifying with it. And there's a sense, well, if the body disappeared now or tomorrow or soon, it wouldn't really be a problem. It's like, well, that's just a body disappearing. Nothing's really happening. Can't really die, so there's none of that fear of death. And
and what are you dying from if the world that you believe you're part of isn't real anyway?
Yeah, the body isn't real and the world isn't real, so nothing really died. Nothing that's real can die. Death is is an illusion. Which is what he said yesterday in the Manual for Teachers. Death is nothing. Just seems to be something, but death is a belief. And the body given to that belief will inevitably die, of course, because that's what the belief demands. But you don't have to believe that anymore. So your body can maintain and stay fit and young and healthy for a lot longer than you would think is possible. So hopefully that explains it to Sally. Bodies are useless. Just a fading away in your perception of the importance of the body to the eventual time where the body is let go of. That would be called death. You lay the body aside and you merge back into pure formless awareness of perfect love. And the body is, if you do if you learn well, then the body's done its job. It's served you really well. It's taken you to enlightenment.
Yeah.
Okay, any thoughts on that?
No, that's all good. That's all clear.
Okay, number 3.
You who believed that God's last judgment would condemn the world to hell along with you, accept this holy truth. God's judgment is the gift of the correction he bestowed on all your errors, freeing you from them and all effects they ever seem to have. To fear God's saving grace is but to fear complete release from suffering. Return to peace, security, and happiness, and union with your own identity. You who believed that perfect love's last judgment would condemn everyone to victimhood and the suffering it causes, along with you, accept the whole truth. Perfect love's judgment is the gift of the correction it bestowed on all your errors, freeing you from them and all effects that they ever seemed to have. To fear perfect love's saving grace is only to fear complete release from suffering, return to peace, security, and happiness, and union with your own identity.
Okay, thoughts on that?
So it's turning around the Christian idea that the last judgment is a negative thing and your errors are being pointed out. It's that sort of the threat that people can live with, that they will be judged at the end. Is turning that around and saying instead, accept the truth that God or perfect love is giving you a correction of your errors so that you can be free from all negativity and all pain and suffering, which were, only seemingly existed. So not to fear perfect love's saving grace rather than just judgment, because that's the way out. So the correction is the way out. And that's what unites you with your true identity.
Yeah, very simple. I mean, what he's giving us is really foolproof. It just seems to be hard to do because you're going up against your self-concept belief in itself.
Yeah.
Well, it's invented. So it seems like there's this huge resistance to doing this. But the actual process is very simple. Saying, well, you must let go. You let go of your perceptions, then what's perceiving is changing. You're changing your self-concept.
Yeah.
Opening your mind to the truth that you are one self, Christ self, which in turn opens your mind to God, which is pure, formless, perfect love.
Yeah.
So really, so simple. What I love about this teaching, so simple. Nothing complicated. It's just to do it is difficult because we've got ourselves so wrapped up in the illusion that we've forgotten the truth.
Mm-hmm.
But it's actually a very simple process.
Yeah.
And you just got to keep doing it. Saying, well, just keep doing this as I've instructed, and you can't screw it up. You're going to do this.
Yeah.
Because the truth is true, and you're practicing that whenever you forgive.
Okay.
You can't mess it up.
Okay.
Okay, happy to move on.
Yeah. God's final judgment is as merciful as every step in his appointed plan to bless his Son and call him to return to the eternal peace he shares with him. Be not afraid of love, for it alone can heal all sorrow, wipe away all tears, and gently waken from his dream of pain the Son whom God acknowledges as his. Be not afraid of this. Salvation asks, you give it welcome, and the world awaits your glad acceptance, which will set it free. Perfect love's final judgment is as merciful as every step in its appointed plan to bless its extension and call it to return to the eternal peace perfect love shares with it. Be not afraid of love, for it alone can heal all sorrow, wipe away all tears, and gently waken from his dream of pain the extension in perfect love acknowledges as its.
Okay. Thoughts on that?
Shall I finish this? Do not be afraid of this. Awakening asks you, give it welcome. And the world awaits your glad acceptance that will set it free. Yeah, I mean, saying there's nothing to be afraid of. God is merciful. The plan is simple, and it's a sure way to return to eternal peace that we're part of anyway. So love is the only way. It's the way to heal all suffering and awaken from the painful dream. So welcome it in. And welcoming it in, we set the world that we see free.
Can set yourself free in there. In the process. So
Yeah.
Free yourself from your false self-concept, and then you free the world.
Yeah.
As within, so without.
Yeah.
And he's giving us, saying very clearly, there's only one answer. This is the answer. Love is the answer. And the way you can experience love is through this process called forgiveness. Let go of the blocks to the awareness of love. That's the problem. So let go of the blocks, and then you experience love.
Yeah.
And this is the process he's given us. Very simple, very straightforward, very doable. You can do it in every situation, every perception, anything that's causing you pain. You have a way. You can do it.
Yeah.
Free yourself, which is pretty amazing. I mean, this is he's giving us the answer.
Yeah.
Why do you need to look anywhere else? You look elsewhere because you don't trust that he knows what he's doing. Think that maybe your own ideas about salvation will work better. It's not hardly likely to be the case, because you haven't got out in the matrix and he has, so he knows what's actually going to work for you. So there's a letting go, a surrender. So I can't find my own way out. I must go to a teacher like Yeshua, or you could call it the Holy Spirit, to something else other than the little self that can't find my way out.
Yeah.
I have to be willing to go into the unknown and ask for help. If I stay in the known world of my ego, then by definition I exclude any help, and I stay stuck in my very limited world and self. Okay, so happy with number 4. You want to summarize that some more? I think you've done a pretty good job.
And let's see, should we do the next one? This is God's final judgment. You are still my holy son, forever innocent, forever loving, and forever loved, as limitless as your creator, and completely changeless and forever pure. Therefore, awaken and return to me. I am your father, and you are my son.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, this is perfect love's final judgment. You are still my holy, aware extension, forever innocent, forever loving, and forever loved, as limitless as your source, and completely changeless, and forever pure. Therefore, awaken and return to me. I am your source, and you are my extension. So it's saying, you know, whatever crazy scenarios your ego's created, you are still an extension of pure love. Always innocent, always loving, always loved, limitless. All the spiritual aspects of source. So awaken from the ego world and return to source. Jesus says, I am your source, and you are my extension. Whenever I see that I am your father, I think of Darth Vader, Star Wars. Something like that, doesn't he?
Yeah. Well, I am your father, Luke. Come to the dark side.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you, my ex.
Change the language.
Yes, yes. My ex made a fantastic film with the boys when they were younger. Star Wars Part 7, before there was a Star Wars Part 7. And my ex cast himself as Darth Tormentus, which has come to be very, very relevant.
Yeah.
But it was a very good film and a lovely memento for the boys when they were younger.
Okay. It's a little home movie.
Yeah.
Oh.
I got to be in charge of costumes, which was hard.
Right.
I was allowed to go.
Right. Yeah, interesting. Yeah. So it's all symbolic. And well, now you're getting, you actually need someone like that. I think according to Carlos Castaneda, Carlos Castaneda's teaching?
No, not
The whole, the Toltec way of awakening, and so they've got their own path, and one of the requirements for an initiate to awaken was that they needed to have a petty tyrant in their life.
That's what I've got.
Yeah,
very
exactly.
petty.
The petty tyrant was essential, because they had to face their ego through the petty tyrant and overcome it.
Oh, that's really
that was part of their awakening journey.
Who were which people were these?
This was Castaneda's. He wrote about the Toltec way, which was the ancient Aztec wisdom. As a path of spiritual awakening. And according to the Toltec way, you needed, if you were an initiate in the path, you needed someone who was a petty tyrant, because they were the projection of your own ego, and you needed to then work through the parent struggle to overcome them in order to awaken. And that was actually required. Any master who was in charge of the initiate's progress would say, okay, well, you don't have a petty tyrant, so you need to go find one. If it's not already there for you, to help you awaken. Because in the overcoming of the petty tyrant, you overcome your own ego, because it's a projection of your own tyrant, your own inner tyrant. So that's what you're doing. You're just working through that, your own projection of a false self-concept that he represents.
Yes.
It's great that you've got it, because it triggers all of the egoic emotions that need to be looked at and undone, that make up that whole tyrant. Remember, the persecutor and the victim are really one. It's just two sides of the same coin. Every victim needs a persecutor, every persecutor needs a victim in order to play out that identity.
Yes.
So in order to be the victim, you needed him as a big bad persecutor to blame. Oh, poor me, I'm so unfairly treated. But actually set it up that way because you wanted to be unfairly treated.
Yeah.
I judge all things as, as I want them to be. There's lesson. Then, rather than beating yourself up and going, oh, yeah, how stupid, just realizing that is empowering, massively so, because you realize I don't have to keep doing it. I understand what the game is. I don't have to keep doing it now, but I understand what it is I'm doing.
Yeah.
So that's the key to freedom then.
Yeah.
So I must change my perception of him and the situation in order to free myself. Otherwise, I just keep perpetuating the same self-concept, which gets projected out, perceived as real, reinforced. So as long as you perceive him as the problem, your victim identity is well intact.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what an opportunity. He's giving you a great opportunity. And it's no accident you also, coming into a time in your life where now spiritual awakening is becoming a priority.
Yeah.
But this great, gift is a learning to really accelerate that massively. Because if you didn't have this, you might just dawdle along for years in the old, victim self, but not really being, it's not too bad. You see, if it's not so bad, then you can kind of tolerate. It's like, okay, well, that's not fantastic, but it's not so bad. So I kind of just dawdle along in, sleepwalking in my separate self.
Yeah.
So the petty tyrant just brings it to a head.
Yeah.
You need that confrontation in order to awaken spiritually.
Yeah.
So it's all good.
Yeah.
All happens.
Yeah.
All,
Well, so well
part of
explained.
all part of the journey, and the spirit's got your back. It's just going to reinterpret it all for you, and help you to transcend it.
Yeah.
And that will be your victory. Your victory will be your awakening and your enlightenment, and that will be his lesson, because he will see that, and the part of himself that he suppressed, that doesn't want to awaken, will maybe be able to speak to him through that and say, well, yeah, that's interesting, because she's actually fine. I'm bitter and twisted, and she's fine, moving on with her life, seems to be happy. A whole new phase of life is unfolding for her, and I'm stuck in my bitter, twisted state, not really stuck in my ego. So that's your greatest revenge. Not that you're trying to hurt him. You're actually just trying to free both of you. You become the miracle worker.
Yeah.
Show him what's possible. If
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
and that's
Yeah. That's so well explained. Thank you.
That's the holy relationship there for you. That would be the transformation of the special relationship into the holy relationship.
Oh gosh.
Because actually the whole relationship is there for both of you awakening.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it requires one of you to see it, which is you, because he can't see it. He's totally lost.
Yes.
But if someone's totally lost, the loving, compassionate thing to do would be to try and help them find their way out of the darkness, which you can only do if you find your own way out of the darkness.
Yeah.
Is what you're busy doing. So
yeah.
Whichever way you look at it, forgiveness is the only way.
Yeah.
For both of you.
Yeah. That's so well explained, Jono. Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. Don't thank me. It's just the Holy Spirit. Just
thank you, Holy Spirit.
I don't know where it comes from. It just comes. It's just off it, out it comes when it's needed. So that's.
Well, I feel like I slipped through the net coming here because I was so trapped by this impossible scenario, court orders blocking every direction out, and then just by miracle I got out and it was all perfect. And the only thing you complain about is I'd left toilet rolls in the house for the next people. I wrote that as Lister's letter.
Are you serious? I mean, petty tyrant. I mean, is that just not
Exactly.
incredibly petty?
Yeah,
Seriously, toilet rolls. You not have anything bigger to worry about.
I know. It was so perfect. It was gleaming. That house was gleaming when I left it. And he thought he'd be, there's no way I could get out on the time scale. And,
Yeah. Yeah, you got guidance and assistance, and all he could pick on was the toilet rolls.
I know.
Which is, you would like to have a toilet roll if you moved in, because
Exactly.
times if you need to go, and you haven't quite managed to go and buy some yourself. So
Exactly. And that went into his solicitor's letter saying, the house is clear. Jackie has left some toilet rolls, but she may be going round. She may have been round to pick them up by now. In other words, she needs to go and get them. That's my petty tyrant.
Yeah. And it's all perfect for you.
Yeah.
Meant to, because you see just how ridiculous the ego is. I mean, look at the ridiculous, small-minded. I mean, you're the son of God. You're this infinite, eternal awareness, and yet you want to focus on toilet rolls. And I mean, that's ridiculous. Insane. So small-minded and petty. So do you want to be like that? The question is, do I want to be like that?
To make sure I've cleared all that from my energy.
Yeah. You want to be transcendent, expansive, but by confronting the petty tyrant, you get to see your own false self in the mirror.
Yeah.
And say, no, no way. No way, Jose. I'm not believing in this.
Yeah.
I'm going to let this go, and I'm going to transcend it.
Yeah.
Because what a limited, pointless, futile way to live your life.
Yeah.
Majoring in toilet rolls and solicitors' letters, and I mean, anger and hatred, and I'm just crazy. Is that any way to live your life? Mm-hmm. So when the temptation comes to draw you down there, then just go, no, I'm not, not going there, because it's just so evidently dysfunctional.
Yeah.
That I want no part of it.
Yeah.
I do not, so having someone like that in your life can really help you awaken. I mean, I've had a couple, but I'm thinking of my father as the first one.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like, no, I don't want to be like this man.
Yeah.
And that was really helpful at that age. It was, teens. It shaped my decisions. I was like, okay, I don't want to be like this man. Very clear. So I must do exactly the opposite of what he wants me to do. Very obvious then. Clear decision path. So he wants me to do, no, I'm not going to do that. I'll go in the opposite direction. It meant we didn't get on ever. But then do you want to get on with a petty tyrant? You can't get on with a petty tyrant.
No, I mean, I'm not at no interest. I just want to be free from it. But the traps keep being laid. But there are fewer and fewer opportunities for that. And but stuff comes up that you couldn't even imagine. So I'm now being threatened because HMRC haven't provided a letter. I don't even know what the letter is for. It's to do with the sale of a house in France. He's coming after me for the money for the extra tax. And he's got no entitlement to do that, but because he's got, well, I don't say too much, but he's got people on his side who make the decisions. You feel vulnerable, but I have to trust that Spirit stepped in before, and that there will be an answer.
You go to the invulnerability of the Spirit. Nothing he does can touch who you really are. That's the truth of the matter.
Yeah.
And if you go to that place, whatever's being thrown at you, you go into that invulnerable state, and you remind yourself of that. That's the forgiveness. That's the whole point. It's making you go within and find your true self, and just through the petty tyrant coming at you over and over with all the temptations to get be fearful. It's a masterclass in reminding yourself about who you are.
Yeah. Yes,
That
that's
you become so rooted in that that nothing can touch you. You've been through this, nothing will touch you after. It's like, okay, I've been through all of this. You know, everything else is minor.
yeah, yeah, yes,
So, you know, it's helping you to establish yourself as the Christ presence, so rooted in that, so firmly in that, that you can be the inspiration to others, because everyone's looking for that, and then they sense it in you, and you know, then you become a teacher.
yeah, yes,
You know, and
yeah,
that's you know, post the hero's journey, that's probably what will happen. You'll be called on to teach this to other people. You know, divorce yourself concept. What a great title for a book.
yeah,
A new
yeah,
angle on divorce
yes,
yourself concept.
yes,
Give you full permission to use it, and work. You know, that could be a great angle to get people into. Oh wow, okay, that's a whole different spin on divorce. I don't know what is out there in terms of, you know, divorce counseling, and I mean, I'm sure there's a whole booming market, but is anyone really looking at the self concept?
I think mine has been so extraordinarily awful and unbelievable and defied all rationality and justice and the legal system and anything. You know, people, lawyers, say, never seen anything like it. It has to go beyond. It can't be the normal stuff of the world. It has to, you know, whatever I do with it has to be
something a little extraordinary.
but extraordinary, you know, because it has to take it to that higher level of spirit.
Well, if you look at, you know, Yeshua's example, he was crucified. I mean, that was a pretty radical demonstration of the thought system he was trying to teach. So in the extreme example, you know, there's always a value, because you can learn from that.
Yeah.
And in the same way, you know, your extreme divorce, I mean, it's probably one of the worst divorces that could ever, you know, be. So then you're like, okay, well, no one can say, oh, well, I've had worse. It's like, okay, you pretty much, it's out there on the fringe of insanity and extremity. And, you know, so then anyone who's coming to you, you can say, well, yeah, look, I understand. I've been through it. I know. And they go, wow, you went through that. Okay. So, you know, then they have your respect, because you've been through it, and they can't play the victim and go, oh, poor me, but you don't know, because you haven't been through such a tough divorce.
Yeah.
See, they can't play that game, because you go, I absolutely have.
Yeah.
You know, so then they'll listen to you, because you've been through it. Whereas someone else, they go, oh, well, easy for you to say, you haven't been through this.
Yes.
Which is why having been through the journey makes you qualified then to help those particular people. In the same way as alcoholics, you know, in Alcoholics Anonymous and Narcotics Anonymous and so on, they say you have to have been an alcoholic or a drug addict in order to be a counselor, because otherwise, person go, well, you don't know, you have no idea what being alcoholic is like, so I'm not going to listen to you, even if you're speaking the truth, and it would be helpful. You don't have their respect, because you haven't walked their path.
Yes.
So it's essential, you know, to really help these people that you probably are going to help, to have gone through this experience. Otherwise, you couldn't help them. So out of your darkest night is born your highest purpose.
Yeah.
That's the truth of it.
Yeah.
Always. When you look at anyone's hero's journey, that's the case. Out of the darkest experience of their lives, if they interpret it correctly, is born their highest purpose of what they're here to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
that's very inspiring.
Yeah. And you're just going through it. It's not pleasant when you're going through the dark night of the soul, but know that on the other side of it, there is, you know, the light is there. It's waiting for you, and there's a whole new world waiting for you post, you know, getting through this. But you have to get through it yourself.
Yeah.
You have to win the inner victory first before you can experience the outer victory.
Yeah.
And that's a process. It might take years, but, you know, so be it. It'll take whatever time it takes.
Yeah.
If you're doing this work, you're accelerating as much as you can. You're moving through this as quickly as you possibly can, because you've got the highest teacher. You've got Yeshua as the ultimate spiritual master. Course in Miracles. You've got this program that's pretty intense. It's an immersion experience into it. I mean, you look at what the Spirit's giving you. It's extraordinary.
It is extraordinary.
Yeah, and then you have to go, well, it's got my back. I'm never alone. I'm never forsaken. I'm not lost in the darkness. Even in this darkness, this light is with me.
Yeah.
Always. You know, it will shine in the deepest darkness and will go there with me because that's where it's needed.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that is pretty inspiring. It's like, wow. You
Yeah.
know, you're walking your own hero's journey and you're learning from these experiences. It's not theoretical. You are the hero. You are the character in the book, in the movie, in the story, actually living it and experiencing, not vicariously, actually doing it.
Yeah.
And, you know, you could very well become a hero to many, many women who go, wow, you know, just show me how to do that. You are my hero. Show me how to get through this. Maybe men as well. You know, it doesn't just have to be women. Anyone who's facing a petty tyrant, you can help them because you know what it's like. And then through that, you can introduce them to the course's teachings and say, well, this is what got me through. So it becomes a way in. I mean,
Yes.
any teacher, you know, you got to find a way in for people.
Yes.
And that could be a great, you know, that's a great way in because you find people's greatest pain point, and then that's the way into their spiritual awakening.
Yeah.
And divorce is a massive pain point for a lot of people. If you're going through a difficult divorce, it's probably the pain point in their life for that period of time. Well, you then address that, and through that, you bring them into a spiritual path to their awakening, and you know that's God's work.
Yeah.
So it's all perfect. You got. I mean, you got to all perfect in its apparent imperfection.
Yes. Yeah. I mean,
Did you
the
ever do
temptation.
that? Did you do that 10-step process, by the way?
I haven't done that yet. No, sorry, I will do that.
Well, but happy to do that in a one-on-one if you want. Just would need to be before the 22nd because I'm going off to Christmas after that. So we could work through that. So
yeah, that's the thought. Let me think about it because I have stuff I really have to get done. So I'm on time pressure or not, but I'm still here putting this first.
Well, this is what's going to do it for you. I mean, this is go slowly to go fast. You sit on the couch and you listen and people are like, well, what happened what did you do for 3 hours? My God. 3 hours of this. 3.5 hours, whatever we on.
Well, it flies by. That's the other thing, is the time flies. So that's good. It's very good.
What did you do for 3 hours? Well, you got immersed into the process and the Spirit took it, and it's actually very engaging.
Yeah.
3 hours goes by and you're engaged, and there's something that transmits itself in those 3 hours that if you keep doing it, I mean, I've seen it with Sally. It's like awakening is going to happen. You can't not.
Yeah.
The fast track.
Yeah.
And then it speeds up everything. So although you're not working actively, like you might just be resolving a whole load of karmic blocks that would have showed up, but now just get resolved and they dissolve because you're just dissolving them here, sitting on the couch doing the work.
Yeah.
So it's the intelligent way to do this. You want manifestation, or not that we're into that really, but it's miracles. Well, just go slowly, really go deep, and then these things happen, and it's the quickest way. It's the fastest way. More being and less doing.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so that brings us to the end of the insert. So interesting stuff. Got another 9 days of this, so I'll read it again. Any thoughts or comments or questions on that?
No, it's just one of those very reassuring passages, isn't it? It's takes you away from the drama into a very comforting, nurturing place of being loved by spirit. Yeah.
Still my earlier way extension.
Yeah.
Forever innocent, forever loving, and forever loved. As limitless as your source. completely changeless and forever pure. Therefore awaken and return to me. I am your source and you are my extension. So that's the last judgment on the world, the Holy Spirit's judgment. God's last judgment is you are still as I created you, as I extended you, you remain, and nothing's changed.
Yeah.
And nothing you think you've done, none of your sins and the guilt and all of that stuff you've invented, none of that matters. So that's unconditional love. We're saved in that awareness. We just have to accept it. That's our struggle.
Yeah.
Can you accept that?
Yeah.
Unconditional love. Or do you still
And
want
accept it for others, including the petty tyrant.
Yeah.
You know, everyone's
But
made
so is he. He's also, no matter how much he tries to block this, and he's trying really hard, isn't he? I mean, just like to the max, the ego is like in overdrive to block out this presence, which he would sense in you, and he's threatened by it. So it's like, okay, go into overdrive to try and blot it out. But no matter what he does, he will not be able to do that. He will never succeed. And one day, maybe not in this life, but one day, there will be an awakening, and he will come into the realization of who he really is and how foolish he's been. And that's what you want for him. That he would awaken to his true self finally.
Yeah.
And if you can show him the way, then he's showed you the way to Christ through being the petty tyrant in your life. So to show him the way out of his petty tyranthood into his own awakening.
Yeah.
By your example.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you will. Yeah, you will.
But then again, it's not real anyway.
No, none of it's real, but it's just, it's all symbolic in the dream of the spirit.
Yeah.
That's the point. Is it symbolizing spirit and awakening you to your ultimate reality in the dream? And if it is, then it's your purpose.
Yeah.
Purpose in the dream. No attachment to outcome, no attachment to form. So let's say you write a bestseller on divorce, and you get on social media, and you become quite a celebrity. But if you do it correctly, there's no ego. It's not you doing it. It's all being done through you. You just, the avatar, this needs to attach to someone. It has to come through someone. So you become that figure, that character through which the spirit's now working. But there's no sense of a personal self doing it, and no personal credit. Oh, well, I'm now the great Jackie Clavey, who's divorce expert, world divorce expert, or whatever. You wouldn't believe that anymore, because your journey is just, you realize that's ridiculous.
Yeah. I'm gotta go and find a plug. Battery's low. I'm just moving.
So where are we? It's now 4:00.
I'm supposed to be going at 2:30.
You were supposed to go an hour ago, I think.
An hour and a half ago. I've got to pay a
You want to do a quick meditation to finish?
I can't, Johnny. I've got to go. I've got people I need to pay and sort out things with. So I'm afraid I need to go. Fantastic as it's been. We'll reconnect.
Right, great session.
Again.
Yeah.
Really good session. Thank you very much.
We'll do tomorrow afternoon or tomorrow evening. I don't.
Evening's better for me.
Yeah.
What about you? I don't know about Sally though. I think Sally's got something on in the evening.
Right. Okay. Do you want to ask her? Ask her and message me.
I think we better say 12:30, unless she can do later. I mean, we could do later in the afternoon. That would be better. So say 3:00. How would that work?
Yeah. Yeah, could do.
Could you do 3:00 tomorrow?
Does that work for her?
Well, her thing is an evening thing, so it's not going to start before 6 at the earliest. So that would give 3 hours. Or even a bit later.
Yeah. Okay.
We start at 3:30.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah.
You want to just check it with her and then message me.
Yeah, on the normal group.
You just message me privately, and I'll put it out to the group.
Can you message me? I don't think I've got your private. Well, I must be able to. Can I pick it up off the group WhatsApp?
Yeah, I've messaged you on Telegram.
Have you? Okay.
Yeah, I'll send you some stuff, but I'll send you a
Oh, I think you have actually. Yes.
no.
Tomorrow.
Where are you, Jackie Clavey? Yeah, there we go. I did message you. There's a message stream there.
Hang on, Sally's just turned up.
Yeah, you want to ask her?
Wednesday. You've got something on in the evening.
Yeah.
What time's that start?
So,
5:30.
what
So
time?
I've got a masterclass in the evening. I just forgot, so I need to do it in the afternoon. Definitely. So,
3:30, something like that.
or should we do 12:30? What's best?
I'd rather do a bit later because then it gives a
Yeah.
complete day to get other things done. 3:30.
Yeah. Does that work?
That
What's
gives
that?
you 2 hours. Okay. So 3:30.
3:30
works
tomorrow.
for Sam.
Yeah. Okay.
Brilliant.
No problem. I'll see you then. Do you need me to send you anything you want to do?